So I have a tendency to repeat myself a lot, right? But it's because the points I'm repeating myself on are important, and for some reason, they don't seem to get through all the time. Now, one of the things that really bothers me the most, and it's sort of tangentially wrapped up in everything else that bothers me, is the sort of middle class atmosphere that accumulated in the forces that call themselves left wing in the last period of American history. I've been sort of referring to them as zombies lately, right? They're over, they're done with, they're dead and gone, but they don't know it yet, right? They're still up here walking around looking for brains or whatever because clearly they don't have any. Sorry, I can't resist a dad joke. That's stupid. But one of the things that really draws my attention is the sort of phenomenon of gatekeeping within this subculture, because we can't really call it a movement. So it's a subculture, right? It's a part of someone's identity. Sometimes it's a career, whatever. But this gatekeeping aspect of it, where these middle class people feel the need to decide who is good enough to attack capitalism, who is pure enough to stand against imperialism, grinds the shit out of my gears. Seriously. I don't know if there's another aspect of it that does, because what it reveals is a sort of inherent individualism and lack of ability to put the actual results and important issues that they're making money off of first, right? What they put first instead is their own careers, their own opinions, their own positions, right? Rather than trying to build as strong a political force, a real political force, capable or as strong a one as possible in order to actually affect real lasting change in the real world. They start attacking each other. They start attacking us. And and I mean, the best example of this is turned into basically Jackson Hinkle derangement syndrome, right? Even people like sort of curators of news that I liked have fallen into this. I mean, Richard Medhurst was doing this recently for no reason, right? And that's the thing that really grinds my gears. That what possible reason could you have other than maybe petty jealousy? And it reminds me a lot. Do you guys remember Lenin used this term? Not really a lot, maybe once or twice, but he used this term labor aristocracy, right? In a letter that eventually turned into part of a draft for the Imperialism, the Highest Stage of Capitalism book, right? And this labor aristocracy, right? What it was the leaders of working class organizations that through whatever process an individual will go through ended up turning against the working class because they had achieved this sort of middle class lifestyle, right? And that depended on the continued existence of capitalism. They basically end up being parasites as far as production is concerned. And no matter what they would say, the outcomes of their rhetoric and their actions always ended up leading the people they were leading into support of the status quo. And that's what this reminds me of, except without a working class movement, it became a sort of leftist aristocracy, right? Where the people who considered themselves the best of the best or whatever have gotten into this mode where it's a career for them. And, I get it. You have to, you got to make your money. You got to survive, take care of a family, whatever you got to do. And I would love to be able to do that for a living, right? I would love to not have to spend most of my waking hours making some parasite rich. But that puts them in a position where other people who can draw attention the way they can become competitive with them, right? And rather than putting the issue first, they become economically incentivized to put their career first. The whole point of anti-imperialism is not to build a career out of it, which if you can do, great, but it's to fight imperialism. The whole point of anti-capitalism is to fight capitalism, not in some way where we talk about it and say, wouldn't it be nice if we had this and that, but in a real, concrete way. Lenin said that the only way to affect change in the real world is to find that existing force in society that can, and not only can, but owing to its position within society, must constitute the force capable of sort of casting off the old and bringing in the new. And I think that the middle classes don't have the direct necessity for change that leads to this. We're never going to find a revolutionary agent in the middle classes. The revolutionary agent is built from the contradictions within society already. And these people simply don't stand in contradiction with the ruling class. They don't. They're comfortable. If they lose their jobs, guess what? They'll be okay, right? They can get another one. They bought whatever degree that it took. They're able to save, acquire property, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. So when they sort of begin turning against people that are trying to build up working class power in a real way, I don't know, that just gets to me, right? And there's not much else I can say other than I'm fucking disappointed, I'm just disappointed. That's all.
High Sheriff Hazard is a hard man to be. High Sheriff is his only plan. He digs through pockets, takes what he can, for he's High Sheriff Hazard. He caught me one evening, and here's what he said: you look like a Russian, you look like a red, and if you're fond of your skin and your head, beware the High Sheriff of Hazard.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Yeah, just to your point, Noah, about these journalists slandering Jackson. Part of me, can't help but feel that with their status, their position, their money, it leads them to capitulate to the fear of what prosecution would mean to all of that. And it's especially sad that these are the same people who are you know constantly talking about that prosecution, and that position is defended by Jackson Hinkle, and then they turn around and slander him. It's like
Look,
Jackson himself isn't even able to return to the U.S., and yet they're resorting to just bold-faced lies.
yeah, it's sad. It really is. Look, first and foremost, if you attack one of us, you attack all of us. Don't get that twisted. The Communist Party sticks together. If you attack Sebastian, you attack me, so you better be ready to deal with me. Same with Jackson or any of us. It doesn't matter who, from the newest cadre to the national leadership. It doesn't matter. We're united. So that's number one. I take it almost as a personal insult. I know it's, a sort of economic and political statement, but building this is what I've dedicated my life to. And so when you are attacking one of us, you are damaging what we're building here. Anti-imperialism and outright stating the ruling class of the world, let's be clear, the entire world, we often refer to them as globalists for a reason, right? Is our enemy. That's dangerous. It is very dangerous. That's why Jackson can't return home. Mm-hmm. I mean, think about it. Like, this guy loves our country almost as much as I do. And he can't come home. He's stuck in another country because they'll bring him in when he comes home.
And
for what he's done on behalf of the working people of the world.
Yeah, and if these groups trust Jackson enough to invite him there, then who are you to call him a federal agent? Like, you're questioning their authority, you're questioning their intelligence. And yeah, it's
no, Sebastian, you don't get it, man. They read something on Twitter, and that supersedes Venezuelan intelligence. It's better than Russian intelligence. It's better than Yemeni intelligence. It's better than Palestinian intelligence. Yeah. Lebanese intelligence. All of these intelligence agencies and real state powers, they're all just so stupid and blind. Mm-hmm. The thing I saw on Twitter, that's the real thing.
Yeah, and that's why I appreciate Aaron Mate's tweet, because he's calling a spade a spade. It just is derangement. Like, I don't know if they're mad, if they're jealous, if they just, I don't know, they don't want to see it, but it's strategy. The stuff that he says that's inflammatory, you have to understand what it is in a context of him trying to elevate people's consciousness. Like, if he wasn't talking in the way that he was talking, he wouldn't have 3 million fucking followers. Simply put. And if you don't like it, then he's not for you. He's not for you to begin with, then.
It's so weird to me how, like, people always want to tell me what's wrong with Jackson. Right? First of all, only liberals do this. I've never met, like, anyone out in the world that, like, any regular a tradesman. I'm working with tradesmen all the time, right? Not one of them has told me, like, hey man, Jackson's problematic. No, they like Jackson a lot. And that's the sort of difference. These people that, like, constantly want to be like, yeah, but Jackson said this and that. Like, well, then do it better.
Yeah.
Prove that you are better at pushing communism than him, or what you're doing is whining.
Yeah, and that's the difference between moralizing and actually, being productive, trying to elevate people's consciousness, because it's an entry point, right? Like, you're not going to be able to talk to everyone on every issue. Some people, they just have China derangement syndrome or Putin derangement syndrome. But there are plenty of MAGA supporters, my mom included, that when you bring up Jackson Hinkle, she looks him up on X. She has 30 people that are following him, And that's something you can talk about. That's an entry point. You could build off of that. You know, you
Yeah.
have to convince everyone if you're, just going to break down the people that they agree with and align with on some level, at least,
And it's an entry point for communism.
Mhm.
We're also talking about one of the founding members of the reconstitution of the American Communist Party, right? This guy is better than every single liberal I've talked to at getting regular working people to reconsider the misconceptions they've had about communism. Every word policing liberal can't do that. And by the way, Goldmo, yes, liberals. If you have something to say, hop in the VC and say it. Otherwise, no wizardry or whatever. I don't know, man. It's wild to me that like people say this kind of stuff. And look, like it's always the same broken record. This is it. An opportunist. Okay, how?
And also to that point, he could be making a lot more money by doing stuff differently. Like if he just went the full-blown Trump route, the full-blown Putin route, didn't, deal with any of this anti-imperial. Like
He could have a mainstream media show right now
Yeah.
if he would denounce communism and get on board with the neocon agenda.
he could even be like that Madison Cawthorn motherfucker and become a senator or whatever.
Mhm.
Like, he
But
can
he's
do it.
not. He is building the Communist Party up. It's wild to me that like people like they get these narratives in their head and they don't they don't ever think about where they come from. Hold on, what is this? Do you know what this is? Sebastian, a white supremacist sign?
I literally couldn't tell you.
Okay.
I
want to read the fan fiction that's gotten written about the party one of these days. There's so much in it.
Yeah, I mean it's the same shit as like the ACP leaks page. I just after the first couple of posts, I just open it. It's the same old thing. I roll my eyes. I close it. It's I don't know who this stuff is appealing to, but it's not appealing to people that were gonna ever become principled communists in the first place.
Right. And frankly, they're the enemies of the working class already. They hate the working class what it is they don't embrace abstract liberal universalism.
Yeah.
Right?
And
the working class needs something real because it's the real thing that makes up the progression of the entire country and world on a larger scale. Right?
And it's especially mind-boggling to me because these are the same people who just mindlessly accept Bernie and they think he's just incidentally wrong on these things, but he's well-meaning. And it's like, if you're giving Bernie Sanders that much of a rope, how are you then not extending the same thing to Jackson and understanding that, this is just what he has to say? But
right.
Bernie's out here supporting all these imperialist wars. Jackson is not fucking doing that.
And not even just supporting it, but actively part of mass murdering Palestinian children.
But that gets you on a Hassan stream, so it's okay.
Right. Thank you, Pranab. Absolutely correct. Western leftists are obsessed with calling Jackson a grifter, but can never explain why. If one of the people in the chat right now complaining about him can explain why, we'll give you priority. Hop in the voice chat right now, and the floor will be yours, because I have never once heard an actual explanation for this. It seems so much like cope to me, right? And petty jealousy. And I hate just sort of like going like doing the whole like Ricky Lake show, like you just jealous. But how is it not that? He's very good at this, and they're clearly not.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, come on into the voice chat and
furthermore,
please
like
explain.
It's all just conjecture too, right? Like I would understand, it would be one thing if they were having their own successes left, right, and center, but the left hasn't built anything in 30 years and perhaps even longer. Why not at least give it a shot instead of saying he's probably a Fed, something's going to happen in the future that'll vindicate us? I don't, what basis do you have besides some pictures where he was a teenager supporting Bernie Sanders?
They tell me it's obvious, but like, what makes you think that? It's beyond me that like, It's just that they've believed a narrative and can't not do it because they've packed so much of their ego into making themselves feel superior to someone they've never met, who frankly, if they had met him, they go, "Oh, what a nice guy," you know?
Yeah, I mean, you could understand and accept that his strategy is successfully reaching out to the backwards masses without, engaging with it yourself. You don't have to do it, man. Like, just let it be. If you see a Jackson tweet that makes you personally upset, just stick to being a communist. You don't have to talk like that yourself. It's as simple as that.
And look, while we're on this subject, the subject of what is a communist is very good. Because frankly, the zombies of the left don't know what this is, right? They think that a communist is something you decide to call yourself one day because you want this, and that to happen. This is an abstraction. This is anti-Marxist. This is a sort of, what it really is the fulfillment of bourgeois ideology to its final mode, which is wokeism, right? It's the new empty form of, the purity fetish and PC culture and cancel culture and all of that kind of stuff,
And it also leads to their analysis of China and all these socialist states that fall so short because they can't understand the particular, objective conditions, and they don't understand that you can't skip from A to Z. You have to progress through, developing the forces of production or whatnot, and you can't just, especially with unipolar hegemony.
Wait!
US.
I got to interrupt you. Hold on. This one's ridiculous.
Yeah, man.
First of all, Jackson is not the one that owns the book. They get these and this is what I was talking about in the introduction. They get these half-formed things they heard on social media. They don't investigate what's actually happening, and they bring it into themselves, right? As part of their way to feel superior to a stranger. This is a perfect example of that happening right here.
I mean,
dude, Hinkle is trying to prop it up. First of all, if I own that book, you bet your ass I'd be selling it. You bet your ass I'd be selling it. And I would try to pit different bourgeois figures against each other, and I would try to drive the profit up, right? Because I want to take their money. I do. I need that money. The party needs that money. You know how much good we could do with that money? Of course, the owner is going to sell it. Jackson was being nice and using his gigantic platform to get the word out about it. So, just stop using everything you see on the internet as some ego boost. I know the sort of hyper alienation of modern bourgeois society can affect us in really bad ways, and social media is this sort of like place that is real and not real at the same time. It's this weird contradiction that's really a sign of the times and financialization and all that. So but all that aside, you gotta actually understand that reality is real, and you can't just go on half-formed narratives. You have to investigate if you want to even approach being able to one day call yourself a communist.
Yeah. And I mean, I think at least in part it stems from people not wanting to actually do the work. A lot of what calls itself, well, they don't even call themselves a Western left. They call themselves communists most of the time, but they get a lot of their information secondhand. They just watch these creators and then don't go any further. They don't read anything. So they just form their opinions from what they're saying and then work backwards from the conclusions, right? If you're already assuming that Jackson is a white supremacist, a Fed, whatnot, then obviously this stuff is going to reaffirm that to you. But
exactly, it's everything terrible about empiricism and working and
but this is not logic. Critique. What?
Right. So this is all. It's like you're reading the script, Lulu. Of course, he's not beyond critique, but he is beyond this particular critique because it's not correct. What you're doing isn't critiquing, right? Jackson and I have disagreed on many things, and we talked about it and critiqued each other. But I didn't do this like moronic belief in fantasies in order to like try to build myself up at someone's expense because they're successful.
And it would be an actual critique if he believed this stuff. If he doesn't believe it, it just is a successful social media strategy. You're just going to be critiquing winning. He's not a white supremacist. He doesn't believe this stuff. No one would know because unlike you, he actually knows the guy beyond, what you hear about him on Twitter. And then at that point, it's like you want him to stop reaching out to Trump supporters. You want him to stop. Like, I don't know.
Right. Like, you want us to stop winning. No, we're not going to stop winning. Sorry, Lulu, you have a chance to actually make a case rather than just putting out statements. This is a call-in show for a reason, right? We actually want to have these conversations. So go into the voice chat. Sebastian will bring you up right now and make your case rather than just gibbering, trying to throw anything at the wall that you can until something sticks. Right? So go ahead and do it. I don't get why people and this is one of the things that makes me like always assume they're bad faith actors. They never, ever, ever actually want to have a conversation. They just want to throw random accusations out until something sticks, right? And it, I don't know, man.
I don't know. I think some people just want him to talk like someone who exists in a context in which communism has already been achieved, and you don't have to slowly, gradually work your way up.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I think a lot of it is the sense of entitlement of the millennial generation, right? The generation that got promised a middle class life that had it taken away, right? And so they feel like they're owed something just for being who they are. Can you put the link to the Discord in the chat, by the way? So they feel like they're owed something just by dint of who they are, right? They're alive, so you need to understand how special they are, right? And if you don't recognize how special they are, they get angry. It's a participation trophy, right? It's a whole subculture of demanding participation trophies.
If
That's
Lulu joins, should we put her on immediately?
Yeah. Prioritize her. Fucking.
Yeah. Then what if I see her in the Discord, I'll just pull her in and then take the other callers. I think Fernando and a few other people are in there.
Tight. Well, let's get started anyway with all this. We've been yapping and yapping and yapping. Let's do it. Y'all see how smooth that was? I was so smooth that time. I didn't mess anything up. And I probably messed something up. I just don't know about it. Let's talk to Fernando. Get him in here, Sebastian. Unless this Lulu guy is coming.
Fernando's not here. 1 sec, so it's just gonna be Nyarla first.
All right, let's do it. Do it up. What's up, John? Do you have a pun about Jackson Hinkle derangement syndrome for us?
So, how many Jackson Hinkle derangement victims does it take to change a light bulb?
Oh, I don't know. How many?
1, because they're already screwed up.
Yo, I got one for you. How many anarchists does it take to change a light bulb?
They're too busy screwing each other over, so it doesn't matter.
Well, no, I mean, anarchists can't change anything, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, I heard about a fisherman who got scammed. I guess he fell for it hook, line, and sinker.
Oh, hoo, hoo.
Guess he was
That's
reeled in and
mm.
definitely strung along.
All right. That we're getting ridiculous now. What's up, man? What do you got for us?
So my question is, I know there's some cases where existing socialist countries, some are one-party states and some will have smaller political parties. Like China has more than just the Communist Party in the National People's Congress, and I know DPRK even has a couple of small parties. So what are some examples about how and why these multi-party or potentially small party systems exist inside of what might otherwise be one-party states? Because Cuba and Vietnam are one-party states, to my knowledge. But how and why did some of these divergences occur, and what might be some templates or lessons we can draw from these?
So you always have really good questions. Well, to begin with, a lot of the time, these other parties spring up as sort of interest groups, right? Or recognition of different classes still within a communist country, right? In China, for example, yes, they have other parties. However, the leadership of the Communist Party is written into the Constitution. This is not going to change unless the Communist Party sort of abandons the people and there's a counter revolution like there was in the Soviet Union. One of the reasons that it happened was because the party and the people grew further and further apart over time. But one of the ways that China keeps that what they call the mandate of heaven, that connection between masses and party, is through organizations and other political actors being able to, not even being able to, but specifically helping run the political apparatus. Anyone can stand for an election in local people's congresses and stuff like that. They sort of go upwards they're built from the ground and then go upwards in like a cone shape kind of, right? And this includes, unions, special interest groups, national minority interest groups, and other parties. However, the actual leadership of the Communist Party isn't it's not sort of top down the way you're thinking. It must constantly be tested in the real world. So what they do, and they have different forms of democracy that all work together. One is called consultative democracy. So what the party does when writing, say, legislation, right, is they'll come up, the local party apparatus in a town or village or whatever will come up with a policy, and it will post that for everyone involved that it would affect to see, to comment on, to try to edit or provide a better version of, or criticize or whatever. And only after it goes through that does it get put up for a vote. So basically, oh, someone said the link is broken. Why is it, dude? Okay. Yeah, it was broken earlier today. Sorry, John. It was broken earlier today too, Sebastian, and I had to fix it myself. But if you're saying it works, it works. Good. But yeah, so it's a sort of like the rule of a communist party must always be proven correct in action rather than just assumed as some authoritarian like mass coming down on the people. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So one follow-up question to that might be, the American founders hated political parties.
Mm-hmm.
So what if we have an American Communist Party, or at least an American communist system of some kind? would something like China be a better model, or something where there's no political parties but the Communist Party be a better model and more consistent with a dialectical understanding of American traditions?
That's a great question too. I think we're in this era of political realignment where the postmodern era, I believe, is coming to an end. And I think this era was marked by unreality and empty formalism, right? That democracy is when you have multiple parties, right? It's this empty form that doesn't really fulfill a real democratic apparatus. And I think it's going to take the shape of one united working class party gaining the support of the majority. Now, our founding fathers never wanted multiple political parties. In fact, Washington himself said that it would be the death of democracy in its cradle. And I mean, he was kind of right. Right? The freedom of the bourgeoisie turns only into bourgeois freedom, right? The democracy of the bourgeoisie ends up realizing itself only in bourgeois formalism because it can't do anything but. And regardless of the wishes of the founding fathers, what ended up happening because of the bourgeois character of the revolution and of society moving forward is it ends up being what we got, right? And hold on one more second, John. The link is case sensitive. Discord has this weird case sensitivity thing, so all lowercase letters, guys. It should be here. I'll write it again. But yeah, does that answer your question, John?
Yes, it does.
Excellent.
So before I go, have you heard about how to cut the Roman Empire in half?
No, how?
With a pair of Caesars.
Wonderful. Pair of Caesars. What's up, Sebastian?
We have a couple of callers, but I'm just waiting on Lulu to join a voice chat before we want to get to one of them.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's talk about the founding fathers for a minute while we wait.
Also, Lulu, are you able to see the voice channels? Just enter the waiting room and I can drag you in.
I think it's typical of modern bourgeois ideology to sort of dismiss the founding fathers as illegitimate because they didn't have the right abstract ideas, right? They're not woke liberals of the 21st century, but instead radical liberals of the 18th.
She's here.
Excellent. Bring her up. What's up, Lulu? The floor is yours.
Okay. Can you explain why Hinkle was throwing up the white power sign in that photo?
What is a white power sign?
I don't know. You tell me.
I have no idea what you're talking about. So, like, I can't explain
You
what.
know what I'm. Everyone in the chat knows what I'm talking about.
I don't. You're talking to me, not the chat.
I genuinely have no clue either.
Yeah, I don't know what a white power sign is. Like,
You've never seen like the OK symbol that people throw up?
and
apparently
like this, like, okay.
I can't see you because I'm in the Discord.
Oh, okay, yeah, like with your like finger and thumb making a circle. I don't think that's a white power sign. I remember when.
And why did he have to throw that symbol up? Like, what was the point of that?
I have no idea what the context is. I think maybe. So I do remember back in the days of 4chan and Tumblr, when like internet politics was really kicking off, like the entire like libertarian sort of goofy pseudo movement that was going on decided to troll liberals big time and pretend that this OK sign was actually secretly racist, right? And it was a joke the entire time. And all the liberals fell for it. There were memes made. There were news stories put out. There were like all this insanity. And it was like one of the biggest, most famous trolls of all time. And I think this is maybe why I didn't know what you were talking about, because I didn't think you would actually believe that was real.
You didn't see the photo with Hinkle that he just put up when he was in Yemen?
I don't know what photo you're talking about, but like it wasn't actually like a white supremacist thing. It was libertarians making fun of you, basically.
You know, if you type OK on the iPhone and you do the emoji predictive thing, it brings that fucking hand sign up. Like
we use it.
But that's not my point. The point is,
but people can use it in total normal context. I mean,
yeah.
But that's not my point.
Why are you reading it into that? What other?
Because
evidence?
He's in Yemen and he's supposed to be like the serious communist.
You know,
he's
so he can't say okay.
Why does he have to be trolling people if he's serious?
He's not. He's just using an okay symbol. I don't know.
If he's saying okay, I don't understand what the problem is.
Right, okay. I mean, it's just annoying. You guys think that,
well, it was just explained to you that
beyond critique and
wait, repeat yourself. Hold on. Say that again.
You think everyone that like calls him out and critiques him is crazy? Like you try to like gaslight everybody? I'm sorry, it's just really annoying. Not you specifically, just everyone in general. That
okay, well, hold on. Let's be specific rather than like these vague claims. So you just made a claim that Jackson Hinkle had done some crazy white supremacist thing, and I explained to you that the thing in question was actually rightists mocking liberals for thinking everything was racist and trolling you. It was like literally one of the most famous trolls in the history of trolling. And you're still like going on as if that didn't happen. We have to acknowledge that what he was doing had nothing to do with racism. We have to do that before we go on to anything else, right? So if we go on to something else, rather than making a vague claim about something I do, make a specific one, please.
No, he just seems very deeply unserious. I'm sorry. He just seems like an opportunist.
In what way?
He just doesn't seem serious about what he's doing.
Yeah, but why do you think that?
Because why would he be like trolling people? Because he's a smart person, and if that's a troll to trigger liberals, why would he use it?
I have no idea if he was trolling, if he was joking, if he was saying okay to someone. I don't know what picture you're talking about, but it basically just seems like you're saying that like he took a picture that you didn't like. And I don't understand why you think that means he's unserious. Like the guy's
whole history of being reactionary.
Well, hold on. Before we get on to that one, we got to finish the unserious claim, right? So I don't understand why that, like him. I mean, he obviously has a sense of humor, but at the same time, he's a vital part of the reconstitution of the Communist Party, and he's responsible for more people feeling positively about communism than the entire zombie left put together.
How can you prove that?
I mean, look at his following, right? He is loud and proud about being a communist. He specifically goes all over the world on behalf of the Communist Party, meeting anti-imperialists and other communists, getting the word out to regular Americans about the genocide going on in Palestine, about other atrocities our government and ruling class are perpetrating, right? Those are very, very serious things. And so I think the claim of unseriousness is unfair and based on looking at the form specific jokes may take, but not the content of the entire phenomenon you're talking about. Does that make sense?
I don't agree with you, but
Okay, well, why
I just
not?
think that I just think that you guys are just like making this whole thing like, I feel like it's gaslighting. Like, of course, people are upset. Like, I'm sorry, this is just really pissing me off.
No, it's fine.
Especially
It's
with
fine.
the black book that he's selling.
Take a beat if you want. That's fine. Look,
The black, like, you guys are like selling the black book for your party. It just really fucked up to me. A lot of people
I'm not
want that
selling it.
information out.
Jackson's not selling it. The person who owns it isn't. Well, I would hope that if he makes money, he could donate it to the party. But I'm not going to tell him what to do with his stuff. That's on him, right?
Okay.
I don't understand. So here's the thing. Anytime we start narrowing it down to why you feel a certain way, you're sort of changing the subject on us, right? Like, I want to narrow down and actually get to why you think a certain thing. But as soon as we start getting into the reasons, you get to something else, right? So, like, are you abandoning the unserious thing? You're going to say, yes, he is serious.
I think that he's trying to come off as serious, but he's also like doing this like thing to like trigger people as well.
So, okay.
I hate him.
You consider interviewing Hamas and Hezbollah and Ansar Allah serious things or unserious things?
It depends on the reasons why he's doing it.
Well, what's the actual effect, right? Because you're never going to get inside his head. You're like trying to read his mind is wizard stuff, and wizards don't exist, right?
Well, what I know is a lot of people in the media can't even get these type of like interactions and meetings with some of these people. So it's just kind of sketchy.
Why is
that he's able to?
If I were them, I wouldn't trust
There's
American
a lot
mainstream
of journalists
media
calling him out about this. Actually,
wait. Hold on. What?
There's a lot of journalists calling him out about how he's able to just go to these areas unscathed and.
So, do you have like? I don't understand what you're implying. Are you saying that these organizations that are, like?
I'm saying that he's.
Hold on. Let me finish. Please let me.
And he has a
hold on.
Background, and of course, we're going to.
I just broke my microphone.
Call him out.
Hold on though. Let me finish what I was saying. So are you saying that organizations like Hamas are somehow not aware of the deep embedded nature of the CIA in American mainstream media, and they're just missing the secret intelligence that you've gotten about Jackson? Is that what you're saying? Because that's what it seems like.
That's not what I'm saying.
Okay, what are you saying then?
I'm saying that his background is very suspicious, and the people that he's around is very suspicious.
Okay,
in what way? Gonna call.
Like you're being very vague. Like you keep saying these words, but like not explaining why you think this, right? So in what way is his background?
In the past 2 months, has it been like 2 months since he's been going from different country to different country doing these different meetings with them? Like, how is he able to do all this so quickly and get access to these places that most journalists can't? And like most serious journalists, like independent journalists.
I'm not sure if you know that. Like you can get from Russia to Lebanon in a few hours. Jesus Christ, what is?
I'm not talking specifically about travel. I'm talking about like how is he able to get these meetings with these people? And he's just like some generic dude. Like,
well,
he's not like a super serious journalist that's been in the field for hella long. You know
who the super serious journalists are in America, right? They're wrapped up in legacy media, which is
not all of them.
Yeah, like every mainstream media outlet in America.
I'm not talking about mainstream media. I'm talking about independent
agencies. What you're saying is you're implying that the state intelligence agencies of Venezuela, of Russia, of Lebanon, etc., know less than you do, and
that's not what I'm saying.
Not able to see this obvious fact that you know that I honestly don't know, and that they're not doing their job. You say it's suspicious that he gets interviews. I think it's a mark on how effective he is at his job. Right? Like I don't understand your logic here. Like, of course they want the word out about their side of the story, especially the people who our government is aiding a genocide for. And of course they don't trust legacy media. Why would they? I mean, look at the hit pieces they have on them, you know? I don't get your logic here. I really don't.
Well, a lot of other people understand what's going on, and of course they're going to be calling him out. Not everyone is deranged over this. Okay.
What? Okay, you got to be more specific. Like, you keep getting very vague on me. What? So, all right, we're going to drop the unserious thing, right? Because obviously he's serious if he's interviewing Hamas. Are we going to drop the what was it? Suspicious past, you said? Are you going to drop that one too?
His relationship with Tulsi Gabbard, and she worked for that PSYOP division, and now she's what? She's the head of the CIA now, or whatever.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's go into that one. So he went surfing with her before he was, the reporter that he is now, and this was also before she worked in the Army's intelligence division, which isn't like the same as the FBI or Homeland or DHS or CIA, right? Their specific goal is like misinformation of the enemy on the front, that kind of stuff. But I wouldn't know what she actually did, and neither would he. What you're doing is extrapolating from a single picture of him going surfing because he knew someone she knew with this person who at the time, who you got to let me finish, who at the time was sort of a Bernie aligned, like peace with Syria advocate, right? And that's the person he went surfing with. And this was before her experience in intelligence like that. So like the timeline doesn't add up there, first of all. Secondly, it's not any evidence of anything. You know what I mean? You seem to like take one thing and use it as if it proves a conclusion you already had, rather than looking at the evidence and allowing yourself to draw a conclusion from there. Does that make sense?
Of course, people are going to question someone that's calling themselves a MAGA communist. That's like traveling to all these different countries.
Hold on, Lulu. We gotta. Okay, so we're dropping the unserious thing. We're dropping the intelligence thing, and we're dropping the suspicious past thing. Now we're moving on to something else, right?
Why are we doing that?
Well, every time we go into the details of something, you switch topics, and we gotta.
I can explain to you why people are suspicious.
Yeah, well, I don't really care why people are suspicious. If there's no actual evidence behind it. To me, it's exactly what I explained, Jackson derangement syndrome. And I really don't want to be offensive here, but it's seeming to me like that's what this is with you, right? Like everything you're talking about is trying to prove a foregone conclusion. These things only add up if we believe without question your narrative. Now, me, I don't believe your narrative, right? I need the evidence to convince me of it. But your evidence, every time we try to get concrete about it, starts kind of crumbling. You know what I mean?
You're biased. Of course, you're not going to hear any of this.
It's not a question of bias. It's a question of looking at the facts, right? So, all right, if you want to drop the unserious thing and you want to drop the suspicious past thing, that's fine. but we have to understand that you didn't back up the claims with any evidence, right? We can go to the MAGA communism thing if you want, or you can try to give me evidence of why you think these things, the prior things.
I think these things.
I'm sorry?
That's all I wanted to say. I already gave you evidence of why I think these things.
But what was the evidence? Like each one had an explanation that made your narrative sort of fall apart, you know?
There's people in the Middle East that are calling him out for what he's doing right now. It's not just me. It's not just like a bunch of people that are like deranged or like anti-ACP. I'm not saying I'm anti-ACP. I'm saying that you guys are like.
I get you.
But
and look,
I'm not saying anti-ACP like that group of people, because people like to tie people in with different people.
Yeah,
but
I know exactly what you mean, and that's fine. If anyone wants to come and talk to me, they're just as able to as you are right now. But we can't just say, well, someone else believes it. There has to be a reason we believe it.
There are big names that are calling him out.
But
it's not.
I don't care. I mean, I attack big names all the time, right? I explain why Ben Shapiro is a moron. I explain why Elon Musk is a moron, etc. Like, these are giant names. Like, someone's fame, how much money they have, I don't care about. What I care about is whether something is true or not. And you're not giving me any reasons these feelings you have are true.
So what is Hinkle's goal?
To rebuild the Communist Party and help the working class of America revitalize this place. You got to let me finish when you ask me a question. And to through the Communist Party, make this country anew, right? To refound it on a real basis rather than an abstract one. That's the goal of the Communist Party. His goals are at acp.us/program. I've spoken to him in person about this.
So when he goes to Syria and Yemen, is he like advocating for the ACP there?
Usually it's in his sort of role as a journalist, because the goal is to get the truth out about what's happening with our government and theirs, and that goal naturally aligns with the ACP. But he's not like officially like on an ACP mission, basically.
So then he's not going there. So he's going there for his own self-interest then?
No, he's going there to get the word out about anti-imperialism, right? So
and not through the ACP name.
Well, no, why? That would be weird. Like, we're not the Palestinian Communist Party, we're the American Communist Party, right? We're not trying to like be self-serving in that, and the ACP doesn't officially sort of have any connections that like that. The real goal is to get the truth out and get the other side of a story as a journalist, right? But getting the truth out always aligns with a communist goal. So, like, here's my thing, Lulu. Everything you're saying, like, it seems like you just really, really want Jackson to be a certain thing. And despite what the reality is, you keep looking for another reason it's true, even as we sort of like look into the facts behind a certain claim and realize that it doesn't hold up to scrutiny. And I get it. Like, people fall into these narratives on the internet all the time. We don't have time to sort of verify every single thing we hear. But now that we're looking into it, can you understand why I use the term Jackson derangement syndrome?
I think that what's being presented is very reasonable to question in regards to Jackson Hinkle.
I think you
People
can
aren't being
question
delayed.
anything. Just be ready for a real answer.
I don't know. I just feel like gaslighting people is not helping. And
Okay,
I feel
well,
like
hold on. You gotta say, how am I gaslighting? I don't know.
I'm not saying you. I'm sorry. I'm not saying you. I'm just saying people in general online because, like, I don't want to talk about this, but it's been getting like really frustrating lately trying to like have a dialogue about this because everyone just attacks each other.
On that, I agree.
And then it goes back and forth.
On that, I
Yeah.
agree. And I don't think anything gets done like that. And I think there are people who push that for a reason. Because anyone that seems on the edge of not being enmeshed in anti-communism, they don't want them pushed over the edge towards something genuinely progressive, right? But that's just, my tinfoil hat theory on it. There's some circumstantial evidence, but nothing solid. So take it for what it is. But
yeah,
I
just don't think people should be harassed over calling Hinkle out.
I think the problem is when you begin attacking people who've never said anything about you, when you begin spreading lies about them, even if you think the lies are true, you got to be ready for a backlash. You have to.
That's okay as long as someone's not like telling you to kill yourself or calling you schizophrenic. I said that's okay as long as someone's not telling you to kill yourself or calling you schizophrenic.
Well, yeah, on that I agree. But you got to be right. Not everyone is as nice as I am. Okay. I'm sort of known as being too nice to people. But
yeah,
here's my
like people getting doxxed. It's just too much.
Oh, I've been doxxed a million times. And it's weird to me because like they think it's gonna do something. Like I've seen like 7-10 different lies about my family and who I am and what I do. It's all crazy. Like nobody actually even cares. Yet they keep doing it because why? What could possibly
because people want to escalate violence.
Well, I think it is because there are actors that want to destroy the embryonic communist movement in America more than anything else. And they will go to any lengths they can in order to do that. Now, some of those actors are from the ruling class. Some of them are just emotionally disturbed or whatever, right? But the end result is the same. And the real sad fact of it is nothing is going to stop this. It's already started. It's too late. So for me, I think it's important to sort of look, you can question anything you want, but when you frame it as an attack, you have to be ready for people who sort of I don't mean to be corny here, but live the life of a sort of information warrior to go bonkers on you if they're noticing you attacking them. I was serious earlier when I said an attack on one of us is an attack on all of us. It's attacking the integrity of the party and it's attacking the integrity of the working class. So you got to understand, like, some people don't have the patience I do. They're not going to be nice. And when you get a little edgy with it, they're going to rip into you because they see themselves as defending something positive, right? Even if what you mean is good, they're not sensing that. They're just seeing someone attack.
Well, some might say that the ACP was put there to destroy communism in the US as well.
They might say that, but they would be wrong. And I would love to hear their reasons for it. I mean, if you believe that, go ahead, give me your reason.
I'm not going to make that claim because I'm not going to start problems because I've already had enough problems with y'all. But I'm just trying to give you a perspective that you don't have.
Well, here's
or you might not have.
There was no communist movement in America before the ACP got reconstituted. There was no.
I mean, there was CPUSA and PSL, but
there were liberals.
they're very
themselves
suspicious as well.
communists, absolutely. There were compromised organizations of the middle class, but there was not any communist movement. I really wouldn't even say there's a communist movement yet. I would say we're
Yeah,
in the early stages of recreating it. Real quick.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Stalin's Pitbull, for the wait a second. Oh man, we got a whole bunch of these. Give me a sec here, Lulu. Stalin's Pitbull for the 10, saying I have the patience of an angel. Thank you. I'll get the rest of these after we're done with this call. So we got to wrap up because we do have other calls, Lulu.
Okay.
And I hope after this you can sort of understand that without a really firm, concrete reason, you fall into working backwards from a conclusion and just kind of feeling something, believing something.
No.
And when you
Noah,
say that as if it's a fact, it's very dangerous.
You act like we're like newbies to this. We've been around for years, so
I mean,
what we're saying about Jackson isn't like something we pulled out of thin air.
You've been around liberals for years. I agree. And I will go. I will die on the hill of.
Can you prove that?
I will die on the hill of none
that?
of these people were Marxists. And we can go into the fact there. I can explain to you.
Hinkle wasn't even a communist. He became a communist like maybe 2 years ago, and then he like stopped calling himself that, and then he started just like what Maupin does. Maupin's not a communist anymore, and he like totally
this
flipped.
narrative comes out of nowhere. Like it
doesn't.
There's nothing to like back this up, right? The guy is literally
just the people that have been paying attention
just a couple months ago. He is constantly he is definitely a communist, and not everyone begins as a communist, right? People all have histories. So like, here's the thing. You had a chance to prove any of these feelings had a real concrete.
I'm trying to give you my perspective and the perspective of other people that call out Hinkle.
Yeah, but
I'm just trying to tell you that we're not all deranged.
But this
it's very reasonable.
It doesn't have a real basis to it. You just kind of have a guess, it seems. And I'm here to tell you your guess is wrong.
Well, thanks for having me on. I was just upset because just seeing him throw up that sign, it just makes it seem like he's trying to troll people or whatever. And we know his past, and he's in.
Hold on.
Trying to be serious.
We know his past because we went over that, and it wasn't what you thought it was.
Okay.
Right. And second, we went over this sign that was, this legendary troll. So that
can you pull it up?
It was either. Like all of these things that you're saying informed your opinion. I'm saying in reality, you held this opinion originally, and you're using this to try to reinforce it rather than letting reality shape your opinion for what it is. I don't mean to be mean with that or nothing. It's common, but really, you got to really think deeply about this stuff because class struggle isn't a game. It's not a subculture. This is very, very serious.
No, literally, all you guys, not you, but everyone in general, just engages in IDPOL. That's all. Like, all you guys talk about is like leftists and shit. Like, how is that doing anything material?
All right, this has to be the last question. It's because they mostly lie and pretend they're communists when they don't have any real grasp of Marxism. They don't have a working class movement. They have a middle class sort of subculture and organizations that are shot through with infiltration. That they're funded by people like Open Society Foundation, Goldman Sachs. There's like bourgeois foundation money underneath all of this, and like I said, you got to really, really look rather than just reacting emotionally to things. And what they usually do is react emotionally. They develop.
But that's what you guys do.
And because we don't embody these dogmas, we've broken their sort of view of what left means. But I'm here saying their view of what left was always inherently right wing.
Well, I think that if you guys are really serious about communism, you're going to listen to all sides and not just like
it's less all sides and more the working class, right? And frankly, these are all
the working class. Exactly. You have to listen to all sides of the working class.
Yeah, but I don't separate the working class by sides. I do separate class from working class and middle class. So like I'm using working class kind of colloquially, but what I really mean is proletariat and this new thing rising up that I call the reproletariat. But that's a whole nother bag of bananas. We don't really have time for at the moment.
Okay. Well, thanks for having me on, though.
My pleasure. And feel free to, if you want to try to make a case, if you think you have some facts, come back on anytime. I want to leave you with this, though. There's a book called The Purity Fetish and the Crisis of Western Marxism by Carlos Garrido. I edited this book, and I think genuinely it's one of the most important books of our era. I'm not joking when I say that. It is really, really that good. And it describes the flaws with this milieu that you believe is left wing and can help explain it for you. Anyway, that was really long. Sorry I took so long with that, Sebastian.
No worries. Hopefully Frederick is here.
Okay,
but,
tell Frederick to hold on. We're gonna go through some super chats and whatnot. Popers, thank you for the membership. TN with the 5. Jackson used to say MAGA communism. Therefore, the ACP's purpose for existence is endorsing Trump for president. Reddit leftist. And by the way, if you don't know that the intelligence networks have thoroughly owned Reddit forever by this time, I don't know what planet you live on.
Yeah, oh my God, it's unusable.
American Step. Noah, Jackson Hinkle killed 100 million people. Shit, I didn't know that. Well, I heard it online. It must be true, right? TN again, opportunist that risks his life by doing real life journalism. Countries being bombed by Israel and the USA. And see, this is exactly what I mean. This is a good point, TN. Thank you. I'm going to call you Tennessee, by the way, just because that's what that reminds me of. And I love Tennessee. One of my favorite states in the Union. But I don't understand how people call people opportunists. They seem to believe that anyone who gets popular is only doing it for popularity's sake. When, let's be real, Jackson could be way more popular if he sold out and abandoned communism. He would be. He's right now, in places, there were Israeli fighter jets flying over his head. That's not opportunism. It's just not. And Stalin's Pitbull, thank you for the time, brother. And I don't know if I have the patience of an angel. It ends sometimes. Anyway, bring on Frederick. Let's do it up. What's up, Frederick? What do you got for us tonight, brother?
It's your good friend, Frederick.
What's up, man?
What's going on, man?
Not much. Trying to combat Jackson derangement syndrome tonight.
Yeah, I've seen that. And there was this one guy, right, who was talking shit about Jackson. There's stuff coming out that he's from India. One of these open Zionist people who were promoting Israel and shit to get views.
Yeah, I mean, Zionists attack him left and right. It's nothing new. They attack the party. Zionists are really, really scummy.
Yeah, now they're trying to get a petition to get Jackson investigated.
I mean, investigated for what? He hasn't broken any laws.
They're saying that he needs to be investigated for terrorist ties.
What kind of?
It's just crazy.
That is, first of all, that's an insult to the CIA. If you don't think Jackson has been thoroughly investigated by the CIA and they came up empty, you're out of your mind. The guy was literally interviewing.
They're also trying to get the FBI in this.
Like I don't understand how stupid people can be. Do they really think the government just sits on their laurels, letting anti-Zionists like with a platform as big as Jackson like go while they're committing crimes? No, they will get you on anything they can. I mean, they've come after me for stupid shit. Like it's wild what they think. Like, and it's all based on this sort of like the last caller, right? She had an image in her mind, and everything that happened, she would try to use it to like reinforce that image rather than just allowing what happened to create a new image. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and some of them Zionists say that he's probably a Fed, and it's like, the guy literally went to Venezuela.
Yeah, and but
like he could have done anything to the Venezuelan president, the newly elected president. Well, re-elected, but you get the point.
As if Venezuelan intelligence hadn't thoroughly vetted him, right?
Yeah,
and allowed him in that situation. It's ridiculous. It's just, I really think it's petty jealousy, and it's being furious at the fact that people who are not woke liberals are getting results, and so they focus
or they're not
on Jack,
or they're not bought by the Zionists lobby.
Exactly,
Israel's sugar daddies.
Exactly.
You know,
I also think part of it is that if they acknowledge his successes, it almost naturally to them acknowledging their own failures. And
exactly.
Yeah, and most of these accounts that are boosting these Zionist accounts are bots.
Oh
too.
yeah. I mean, it's just like the NAPO farms they found all over Ukraine, right? Just a bunch of Nazis sitting there running 20 accounts.
Mm-hmm.
People, it's weird.
Yeah, they have like 20 phones hooked up, and then they have like 20 accounts on each of those phones, and they're just like posting the same shit.
It's weird because here's the thing. We all know this happens, right? We all see the reports. But as it's happening in real time around us, because with the Communist Party, there's such a connection, a purposeful connection to the working class. Like our show right here, right? I'm friends with Jackson. You can come on and talk to me. And so there's this like only one level of separation. And so people, because they have that level of access, which is on purpose, they assume that it's not serious enough to get the attention of the US government. But I guarantee you, Chuck Schumer is terrified of the Communist Party. The intelligence services absolutely know who we are.
They definitely do after Hawes came back.
Oh yeah. I mean, if they didn't, we wouldn't be detained every time we come back in the country, right?
Yeah, and now these Zionists are making like the connection that, oh yeah, the communists and the Islamists have this alliance or something. They're both terrible ideologies. And that Islamism needs to be on a list.
Like if we're talking less about like what ideology means, ideology is a sort of symptom of something real in the world, right? And these bourgeois ideologies, like they develop sort of on top of contradictions that exist in reality. And so like Marxism, like it gets described as an ideology, but really it's an anti-ideology, right? It's something that through the acknowledgement of itself as ideological, understands what ideology can be. I don't want to get too like philosophical tonight. I'm I'm not feeling that. But
Yeah, you're not interested in that stuff tonight.
we got I got a question I want to answer real quick. Give me a sec.
Okay.
Oh, so we'll let you answer this one with us, Frederick.
Okay.
Exodus asked, did we check out the Jimmy Dore interview with Todd? Dore takes a giant dump on Marxism, Leninism, and communism, but said he loves democratic socialism, and he had to unsubscribe. Look, Jimmy is always going to be Jimmy. However,
Jimmy.
I believe it is up to us to win people's support. I don't like I don't subscribe to Jimmy's show either. I don't know. Not the biggest fan, but that's fine. I don't have to be. But it's going to be up to us to prove that he can support us and prove the truth about Marxism, Leninism, rather than the lies he's been told. End of the day, it's always on us. That Lulu girl was asking why we seemingly criticize leftists so much in scare quotes, right? That's why. Specifically, that right there is why. Because Jimmy Dore should be all about Marxism, Leninism, and communism. However, because he sees these morons calling themselves communists, because he has all of this sort of Red Scare propaganda filling the void under the category communism in his head, he dislikes it. So it's up to us to myth bust all that and then put the truth in there, right?
Oh, yeah, that also brings me back to I think if you've seen Jack Pozzo's latest tweet, he calls Luigi-ites, the whole incident with the healthcare thing, communist infiltration.
I don't know what that's about.
And he says that you need to read my book, Unhumans. Which I'm sure any Marxist-Leninist would probably debunk.
Wait, who said that?
Me.
No. Who are we talking about? Wrote this book?
I think. What was his name? Jack Poser.
Oh, that Jack Posobiec guy.
Pasova guy.
Yeah. I know who you're talking about. Yeah,
his last name I can't remember.
He's one of the communism thing guys. Like, he's so stupid.
Yeah, he's basically like James Lindsay.
Yeah,
everything is woke, but it's like everything is communist. And his book Unhumans is showing us how communists infiltrate society.
I'm sure it is. Like, we don't just start a party and go, here we are, guys, right? Look, thank you for your call, Frederick. Always a pleasure talking to you, brother. We're going to move on. I don't have a lot of time tonight. So I also want to say those guys like the Jack Posobiec's and James Lindsay's and all these, they would be homeless rats in the gutter without big funding behind them, right? Nobody cares about James Lindsay's stupid book lying to us about communism. We're in the like sort of last period where there's even a market for that kind of thing. So they have to try to manufacture it, right? And what they do is they do so by just like blurring the line between historical communism and modern bourgeois liberals, wokes, right? And sometimes they do it effectively. I mean, there's a reason James Lindsay won't debate Haas or Eddie or me or whoever. And whoever said I'm ignoring them, I don't know what you're talking about. You're welcome to join the voice chat like everybody else. I don't always have time to read the chat. Anyway, if you want to do that, by all means, do it. I don't care either way. Who do we got next, Sebastian?
Next up, we have Dale.
Dale. What's up, Dale? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good.
Excellent.
I do, however, have some horrible news.
You are cutting in and out. What was that?
I'm sorry. Hold on.
Oh, wait. Hold on, Dale. Apparently, this person did a super chat. Oh, yeah. I have other super chats that we'll get to after this. All right. Go ahead, Dale. Sorry.
Absolutely. Sadly bad.
Oh, your mic
It's
is
been exposed.
really messing with us.
Sorry. Am I coming in now?
Yeah, you're good. What's up?
I have some bad news.
Nope.
Sadly, we have found out that Jackson Hinkle is a member of the Wu-Tang Clan.
Dude, your mic sucks, man. I can't understand you. I think
Sorry.
I ruined the joke.
I was meaning to make a joke about how Jackson is a member of the Wu-Tang Clan and all of the CIA and FBI things was just a cover-up.
It's true. That's why they always say that Jackson Hinkle ain't nothing to fuck with, right?
Yeah.
Look,
Also, if
I'm
you
a
think
child
about
of
it,
the 80s.
one of the
I was
first
a
times we
teenager
saw
in the
him
90s,
with
and
sorry.
I was a teenager in the 90s, and to me, there may never be any hip hop as good as Wu-Tang.
Yeah. Although I do have to give one caveat to Tupac.
Yeah, oh dude, Tupac's great. I love Tupac. And I do like some like that whole era though of Wu-Tang, like the late Wu-Tang era into the like Nas and Jay-Z era was really like my thing as far as rap goes. I'm not as big of a fan of the modern sort of cadences they use. I've come around more to it than I used to be, but yeah, like Kendrick Lamar, like I'm not as impressed by him as I am like GZA. The Bobby Digital album by GZA is probably one of the best rap albums ever. Oh, I think you're cutting out, man. I don't know what's going on with your microphone, Dale. If you want to fix it and come back, that would be awesome. While I read these super chats.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry, I got caught in the middle of something.
Oh, all good, brother. All good. Sophic Manatee, thank you for the 10. Says, Haas slandered me on his live stream, accusing me of being a Fed and also claiming he had evidence of this. Evidence he has yet to present. I'm wondering whether he'll retract or present evidence soon. I have no idea. With how busy I am, I do not often get a chance to watch or listen to live streams. Sorry. If you are a Fed, though, can't touch us. Tough shit. Authority. Pranav, thank you for the 20, brother. Thank you so much. Do you think China's BRI, global infrastructure, and connectivity push reducing oil imports and reserve dollar needs, along with rising industrial productivity, could trigger a deflationary boom in the global south? I think that's actually already happening. And I think there are very weird bourgeois solutions to this. Like propping up Millet as a pseudo-populist that was gonna, work on behalf of the people and blah, 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 right? What did he do? He sold his country to the Federal Reserve, propping up the dollar and pushing them into a far worse economic system than they had been. I don't know as much about like the global south as a unit as I do individual countries. So we can sort of leave it there, but I will also say that with BRI specifically, the Belt and Road Initiative, and things like the sort of contraction of the dollar zone that this caused, it's allowed sustaining infrastructure to be built. Now, there's two different development philosophies going on here. There's the whole open society, and which really means, open up your resources and labor to globalists and giant financial cartels that are going to basically rape your entire country. And then there is Chinese win-win cooperation, which basically says that the larger a country's economy can grow, the more international trade can happen, right? So rather than creating a captive market for individual interests, which is a bourgeois liberal way to look at it, it is instead a general and collective way to look at it. So I don't know. For me, it's just always interesting to notice the ideological differences in actual policies in the real world. That's just me. I don't know. Thank you.
I think I fixed my microphone.
Nyla Nostrum says, you must go viral without compromising the message of communism, which you have not done. You have appealed to the right, which has watered down the message.
Yeah. I started this because I just wanted to say something about it. Like, this is the exact wrong way to look at it. And it stems from working back from a conclusion again. Like, if you see what Jackson is doing as compromising communism, you just aren't being honest about what he's doing. People are explicitly clear, Mao, Lenin, that you have to meet the masses where they are and elevate their consciousness. It isn't compromising anything if he's unabashedly saying he's a communist and uplifting China, dispelling myths about, these anti-imperialist states. How is that compromising communism rather than meeting people where they're at?
I think the problem also, it makes a few mistakes. Number one, what Sebastian said is absolutely correct. Number two, compromised what? There was nothing before us. There were liberals playing pretend, and that is it. Like, we have to be very, very clear about that. There was not a communist movement. There still isn't really a communist movement yet. There's motion towards it. So, no. Second, communists do not approach people on the basis of being left or right. What is left and right is described after the fact. Get this liberal, bourgeois, vague sort of empty formalism out of your head if you want to be a Marxist, right? To be a Marxist, you're looking at the actual concrete contradictions within society and how they reflect themselves. And right now, the people you call right are, materially speaking, a left-wing force because they're acting as a counter to the ruling class, status quo, and establishment. Yes, it's confused. Yes, it sort of tries to build on what was already there, but you can't expect anything other than that. American narratives were built from outright anti-communism, which was really a cartoon of communism, etc., right? And so you have to understand that this is the sort of narrative basis on which they sort of begin building up. But what we have is the necessity of the working class coming up against the impossibility of capitalism continuing. And so what I would say is that you are the one who has compromised the message of communism with bourgeois, incorrect, abstract ideology, viewing things as left or right based on what characteristics narratives and rhetoric they use rather than looking for a real material force in the world. When Lenin talked about finding the revolutionary subject, he did not say go appeal to the left or the right. He said, as I said earlier, he said that you must find in the existing society already that force which can, and owing to its social position, must constitute the force capable of sweeping away the old and bringing in the new. And that force, like it or not, you call right wing because you don't understand a material view of what's right and left. Anyway, what did you say about Dale, Sebastian?
Oh, he left. I did want to add in one thing.
Oh, sure.
It was generally a Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Dale. Go ahead.
It was
I didn't say anything about
it was
Dale,
generally.
Just
it was generally a comment. It's all right. It was a comment about, especially in regards to Jackson in Venezuela. When it came to the Venezuelan election, there was already seen to be gunfights between the opposition and its supporting gangs and the government, and even some of the gangs that were somewhat associated with the government. With that in mind, alongside already previous fears of a coup in Venezuela, if Venezuelan security forces managed to at least believe that they could trust Jackson to be in a room where he was roughly like 10 or 12 feet away from Maduro, I'd find it hard to believe that he is necessarily a Fed, since if he was, unless they just did not check him at all.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And of course, intelligence always checks all of these people, especially when dealing with Americans. They have to, right? Because how many times has America tried to put someone in? The idea that Jackson would interview Hamas and leave it untouched and be a Fed is crazy to me, right? Like, that right there should prove that all of the Jackson derangement syndrome people are wrong. I don't know. But yeah, well, thank you. Was that it, Dale, or did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Yeah.
Your mic is muted, brother. You want me to unmute you or or what? I gotcha. Oh, I can't unmute you for some reason. All right. Well, that'll have to do it for us, brother. Come back on anytime. We always love hearing from you. I don't know, like, I've missed so much of the chat. I apologize if there's anybody that is like whining or complaining. Just get in the VC because we're running up against time, and this is your last chance.
Yep. Next up should be Fernando, actually.
Excellent. While he's coming in here, thank you, Tennessee, with another 10, dude. Knocking him out the park. Thank you, Tennessee. He's asking, do you think Hassan is jealous of Jackson after noticing Jackson does actual work, which might be why he pretended to do real journalism by interviewing Bernie after previously reducing him as a grifter? We'll get to this after Fernando. I'll bring it back up, Tennessee. Don't worry. What's up, Fernando? How you doing, brother?
Good. Life is good.
Excellent. If you want to put your camera on, you're welcome to.
I'd rather not. I don't want to clean my room for this occasion. I've had a long day, but I wanted to get in a word about the Jackson derangement syndrome going on.
For sure, the floor is yours, brother.
I mean, if people saw the last time I came on here to talk about this, I'm gonna disappoint because I'm gonna say the same thing. But I want to give the perspective of a communist that lives outside the U.S. And I mean a serious communist, because there's people around the world that criticize Jackson, and that's understandable. You know, you're always gonna have personal grievances with somebody, and there's something to say about Jackson's posting style that's off-putting. What is missed to those people, though, is that that's on purpose. Like it or not, the way you go viral on Twitter is through trolling. You need to say a certain level of incendiary stuff if you want to get traction, right? And you can say that you don't like that. I have my grievances with it. There's a reason I don't post this way. But we're not in the business of making people happy. We're not in the business of getting everybody to like us. We're in the business of convincing people. And we live in a world where if you want to get your ideas out there, you want to get your ideas seen, you need to play the game, right? Maybe if we lived in China, or maybe in the far future when social media algorithms are, built to a certain level of, socialist consciousness or whatever, maybe the world would look different. But in order for us to get there, we need to get through what we got right now. And Jackson's very effective on that.
Yeah.
Jackson, in fact, as far as I'm concerned, is the most effective communist political agitator since probably the Vietnam War, like coming out of America, which is very commendable. So, like maybe this is beating a dead horse, but it is not useful for me or for the Yemenis or for the Palestinians or the Koreans or the Cubans or anybody who's fighting against imperialism throughout the world to have someone in America that agrees with me, but doesn't organize anyone, doesn't influence anyone. At least in as far as Jackson's personal opinions that he does put out there, I disagree with some of them, and that's fine, because he's infinitely more effective at convincing people. Jackson has convinced more people about communism than any communist in the past at least 20 years, right? And that has a direct material effect, whereas the past 40 years of American communism, the communist movement in America, has been a complete failure.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we'll look back in 20 years and be like, well, what Jackson Hinkle didn't work. Maybe we'll look back in 20 years and be like, it was actually a resounding success. But he's at least trying something new. He's looking at the current situation, seeing that what was happening before was not working, and he's doing something about it. And that's more than 99% of the people calling themselves Marxists in America. And that's pretty much it. I appreciate Jackson. I appreciate what he's done tremendously. And just as a side note, in the more let's call it chillinized social media, Jackson's actually become a bit of a cult hit. He has a lot of fans over here, which is very funny. With that, I end with that. No, I don't know if you wanna elaborate on that, but I just wanted to get on my soapbox here because I'm honestly pissed off of people who achieve nothing. I want to tell everybody what to do.
You know what? And that's the part that really stuck out to me about what you said, and the part that really bothers me the most. Look, let's look at it from the Chilean perspective, from the perspective of Palestinians, from the perspective of anyone in another country. What is more valuable to them? Someone who says they're super pure and agrees with everything they say and has done everything liberals consider correct, but reaches no one, builds nothing, and does nothing but try to tear other anti-imperialists apart, or someone that reaches millions and millions of Americans on a daily basis, even though you disagree with a few of his personal opinions. The latter is obviously far more preferable. And this is why I always say, okay, if you're so much better than Jackson, go do what he does using your better way, and we'll follow you, right? Not that I follow Jackson, but I recognize his contribution to the class struggle and how unprecedented it is in American politics.
Yeah, I mean, there's no debate in my view, man. Like it's the people who don't recognize this are people who are not, serious about revolution. I'm a fucking revolutionary. I'm looking to build a new society, right? I'm not looking to get a club of friends and read Capital and complain about how the world could be so much more different. I'm here to do the fucking work. Come what may. I know people. I have friends who lost their parents in that struggle.
Yeah.
My family. I have an uncle who was exiled. He's lived in Argentina since the coup. Right. Americans don't have that immediate experience. At least very few do. Of the genuine cost that's associated with this.
It's a really good point. And here's the thing. I think because their entire worldview is empty formalism. None of it is real. Even if they are under the impression that it's real, it's not. And when they really if you can step back and take a look at what they're doing, they're not creating revolutionary momentum. They're not reaching out to the proletariat because that's not really what it's about. It's been reduced to a subculture where you sort of carry yourself a certain way. You use a certain aesthetic, kind of like punk rock, but since music no longer sort of governs personal identity and subculture, it became politics. And frankly, that should be absolutely unacceptable to anyone who wants to even, one day consider using the word communist to refer to themselves.
So yeah, I appreciate your short on time. So I will end it with this, and with a plea to my American brothers and sisters. I lived in your country for 9 years of my life, very formative years. I truly love your country. I love your people, and I want what's best for you all. But have patience with these leftists, to the people listening here, and try to convince them. Try to speak to them. Try to get to speak to them privately, because I've had a lot of success. Being able to talk to someone at the very least, like in a direct message, but also in the if you get them in a call, that's even better. It's a lot easier to speak there, because a lot of them have their heart in the right place, but they've been led astray. Like the lady Lulu here. I think you did a great job speaking to her, but there's a limit to these shows, right? Because it becomes a whole spectacle, and the person coming here, they're very defensive, and they wanna make their point. And when you're on a show, you're trying to convince an audience, but it's in Spanish we say it's an ant work. Like ants work together in big lines, and they're small beings, but they do a lot when they work together. So do your little task. If you have a friend who's a little lip-tarded, if you have a friend who's a bit of a soy boy, but they consider themselves communists, have patience with them and try to put things in perspective. Be like, look, man, show them this stream maybe. I show them this part and be like, look, this is a Chilean communist telling you it's not useful. It's not useful that you have all the right politics. It's not useful that you have all the right thoughts if you don't organize anybody, if you don't convince anyone, if you don't influence anyone, right? If you want to win the title of a revolutionary, you need to get out there, you need to do some hard work, and you need to I'm gonna expand on one more point. Self-criticism. It's something that's very misunderstood, at least on Twitter, on social media, on like the online communist circles. It becomes a club to hit people over the head, be like, you don't agree with me, you need to self-crit. The utility of self-criticism is that you do something, and if it doesn't work, you ask yourself why. It's not something to throw out in the open and self-flagellate after someone dogpiles you to win over the naysayers and the majority and be like, no, I was wrong, please accept me back into the circle. It's a tool of analysis. You set a goal, you meet it or you don't. If you don't meet it, you ask yourself why. If you meet it, you think, what could I have done better? What did I do right? How do I improve this? Right? And if every communist in America or throughout the world was serious about self-criticism in this fashion, not to be reaccepted by liberals, but to perfect their practice, to perfect their their revolutionary tasks, would be in a much better spot right now.
Couldn't agree more, brother. Couldn't agree more. I think that even the term self-crit becomes part of the subculture of sort of pseudo politics.
Absolutely. It becomes this the Lao guy is like the this meme from like Avatar Airbender, where it's like your all your group of quote unquote friends, but really, you know, they're activists who are, you know, you gotta you said a problematic thing, or the newest woke thing to do. You weren't doing it before, so now you got to self-create and, you know, make sure you're doing all the right HR things.
What it really is a meeting with HR.
It could not be further from communism. A fascist is more communist than that shit.
Dude, you know what's crazy? And like, I don't have time to get into it tonight, but all of that really leans into a very fascist mentality. And
absolutely,
yeah.
No, zero critical thinking, no independent thought, no, just accept the majority, accept the party line, and you know, no debate, just on instinct. You need to do what we demand on instinct.
Empty negation and needing the sort of negation to not only exist alongside, you know, some reality, but it needs people to embrace that negation as if it's real. Anyway, thank you so much for your call, brother. Always a pleasure to talk to you.
A big hug from the South. I hope you guys the best of luck in revitalizing the American Communist Movement. No, next time we have somebody comes over. Next time we have an international event in Chile, I want someone from the Institute down here. We gotta get some beers.
Absolutely. Well, I want to come myself, so
all right.
We will definitely hang out at some point in the future.
A big hug, Noah. A big hug, Sebastian. You know, I tip my hat off to you both. This is a hell of a show. Goodbye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, brother. Love that guy. That guy helped put together the Midwestern Marks production team, and yeah, he's a very hard worker.
Yeah, Fernando's
really good guy. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it. Oh, wait, hold on. We got some super chats. First, Pranav, dude, you guys are like blowing my mind tonight. Thank you so much. Fantastic. Just so you all know, despite what some liberals on social media may tell you, we do not get any funding from literally anyone. Russia's not funding us. The U.S. government's not, but nobody's funding us other than you guys. Thank you for the 10, Pranav. We're a completely people-funded institute. If you want to help out, patreon.com/MidwesternMarks is the best place to do it. And super chats will always get read, just like right now. Have you seen that iShow Speed is live streaming in China? Do you think China's soft power is going to keep increasing in America and material reality will become increasingly hard to ignore? I absolutely do. I think the era of unreality is drawing to a close. The era of being able to present a false view of reality that comes out of fictitious capital and all of this is ending as finance capital runs up against the impossibility of continual expansion. Thank you so much. And Tennessee, that $10, I told you I'd get to this. I don't think Hassan is jealous of Jackson, actually. I think I have a few opinions on Hassan. I think he is an upper middle class, like sort of elitist PMC. And I think he is very typical of all those sort of soft-handed rich kids that never had to work a day in their life. I think it's hilarious that he thought interviewing someone responsible for mass murder of Palestinian children was doing real work, as opposed to, oh, I don't know, helping reconstitute the Communist Party of a country. And I am incredibly suspicious that he knows for a fact we've all offered to have conversations with him, and he doesn't. He knows for a fact what he is saying is false and ignores it. He ignores the hundreds and hundreds of people telling him his information is false, that he's lying. And I'm suspicious of his collaboration with CNN and mainstream media. I'm suspicious of his contacts in bourgeois government, like Bernie Sanders and AOC. Remember who these people are. They are genocidal monsters. That's what they are, guys. And the idea that this guy talks about other people as grifting, when he, look, if you're a real revolutionary and you have millions of dollars, you spend it on the revolution. This guy has millions of dollars, and instead he sits on his spoiled ass playing video games. All right? I'm suspicious of that. But that's going to do it for the day. Take us home, Sebastian.
Yeah, I just had one last comment about the previous super chat. And, you know, people might have criticisms about China's lack of, you know, explicit interventionism. And, you know, maybe I might share some of those opinions, but this is the direct byproduct of just walking the walk, just believing in what they're doing, developing themselves, and providing and presenting a model for the rest of the world.
Oh, 100%, brother. Couldn't have said it better myself. Everybody have a great rest of your week. Thank you so much to all the super chatters, all the callers. We'll see you next Monday. Bye,
Good night, everyone.
Stand up, all victims of oppression, for the tyrants fear your might. Don't cling so hard to your possessions, for you have nothing if you have no right. Let racist ignorance be ended, for respect makes the empires fall. Freedom is merely privilege extended, unless enjoyed by one and all. So come, brothers and sisters, for the struggle carries on. The International unites the world in the song. So comrades, come rally, for this is the time and place. The international ideal unites the human race. Let no one build walls to divide us, walls of hatred nor walls of stone. Come greet the dawn and stand beside us. We'll live together or we'll die alone. In our world poisoned by exploitation, those who have taken, now they must give. And end the vanity of nations. We've but one earth on which to live. So come, brothers and sisters, for the struggle carries on. The International unites the world in the song. So comrades, come rally, for this is the time and place. The international ideal unites the human race. And so begins the final drama, in the streets and in the field. We stand unbowed before brothers and sisters.